What's up, Ranger Nation? It's your boy JB, and I'm here this morning for the review for Power Rangers Beast Morphers. This is episode number 11, and it's titled Tools of the Betrayed. So, you guys, we're getting through, like, episode number 11. So, we are definitely getting through. I know at some point we're getting that Halloween episode, which I can do without it. But, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump into today's video. Alright, so the episode opens. We're at the Riptide Gym, and we see Devin. It's him, it's Zoe, and it's Ravi. So they're all, sparring. And this one, he's teaching them to fight based off of their animal instincts. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool to teach them to fight off of their animal instincts. Kind of reminds you of Power Rangers Jungle Fury, where they couldn't get their power, they couldn't combine the Megazord, they couldn't, master their weapons without first mastering their animal spirit. So I'm like, okay, I'm like, cool. It's cool, but I'm like, why would we wait to episode 11 to do it? But I'm not gonna complain. It was, it was okay to me, but definitely understood it. So then we see Ben and Betty. They show up at the Riptide Gym, and they show, they have this VR headset for Devin. And I'm like, oh, wow, a VR headset. And then when you look at the VR headset, to all the kids out there who are pretty young, go on Netflix, watch a series called VR Troopers that was created by Saban. It didn't last very long because Saban, unfortunately, with that show, it was based off of, just like with Power Rangers, it's based off of Sentai footage. And the stock footage ran out, so they kept repeating stuff, and eventually they couldn't do anything with it. Kind of like with Big Bag Beetleborgs. But they put the VR. He put the like I said, he had the VR visor. I'm saying visor, but it's actually a headset. I keep saying visor, and I actually type visor in my notes because that's what the things were called in VR Troopers, were VR visors. Looking at where we are today with the world of virtual reality, I would love it if they bring VR Troopers back. Like, VR Troopers was 20 years ahead of its time, but man, I would just love it if they would bring VR Troopers back in some kind of form or some way, form, or fashion. Just bring it back. But then they get a call from Commander Shaw. So Commander Shaw is calling the Rangers to let them know that there's a spotting of Blaze in the city. So then Devin tells Ben and Betty to get his VR headset back to the base safe and sound. They're like, cool, gotcha. But we see Ben and Betty, they don't actually do that. Betty actually put the headset on her head, and she was having fun with it, and she was riding a wave, and then there was this shark that materialized. The shark really didn't look that realistic to me, but if that's what Betty wants to say, go ahead. But it scared her, and she eventually broke the headset. I'm like, oh, that's not gonna be good. So then we see the Rangers. They do find, Blaze, and Steel and Nate are there fighting with him and Electronics. So then, Blaze was getting ready to create a Robotron. But before Blaze could create a Robotron, Devin blasts the Robotron maker and destroys it. And that's then, Blaze returns back to the cyber dimension. And I'm like, ooh. Interesting. This is gonna be a good episode. But overall, this episode was good, but we're gonna keep going, you guys. Alright, so then back at Grid Battle Force, we see Devin, and Devin tells Commander Shaw, like, Blaze is about to create a Robotron, but I blasted the Robotron maker, and he left. And she's like, well, it is destroyed for now, but they will be back. And lo and behold, they will be back. So then we see where Nate, he's come up with some new inventions. He has come up with a Gigadrone detector, so that way, the next time a Gigadrone materializes in the city, they'll know about it before it, starts blasting the city and destroying buildings. And he's also come up with a new Zord combination. I'm like, ooh, a new Zord combination. Now, I was thinking it was the Ultra Zord, but it might not be the Ultra Zord. I think we might be a little bit too early for the Ultra Zord. Well, we shouldn't be, though. Well, I guess so, because we just got, Steel and Nate were just added to the team, so more than likely it's their Zord, but we're going to keep going. So then we see Ben and Betty. They show back up, and they are there with Devin's destroyed VR headset. So Zoe asks them what happened, and they tried to explain things to her, but While they're explaining it, up walks Devin. Now, mind you, Ben and Betty have, like they have band-aids on their foreheads and they're in the shape of an X. And I'm like, why would I mean an X? Interesting. So X marks the spot, huh? But Devin is like, what happened to my VR headset? And Zoe is like, you know what? It was me. I bumped into something and your VR visor kind of went kaput. He was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Are you okay? And she's like, yeah. And he was like, well, what about Ben and Betty? Like, what happened to your head? They're like, oh, huge pimple, family pimple. Even a dog has a pimple. It's something that runs in the family. I'm like, okay, y'all can come up with a better excuse than that? If you say so, Ben and Betty, like, y'all could have come up with something a lot better than a pimple? A pimple. A pimple. A pimple. Okay, let's keep it going. Alright, so back over in Cyber Dimension, like I said before, the Robotron Maker was destroyed by Devin. So, Scrozzle is completely upset with Blaze because it's destroyed. And, Blaze is like, but it wasn't my fault. Who said that? A monster said, but it wasn't my fault. Oh, Furio. That episode 3 of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. I'm getting all off topic. But episode 3 of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, when that monster he lost the Galactic Beast. But it wasn't my fault. I remember that. So yeah, he said it wasn't his fault. But does Evox care? Not at all. And who's eavesdropping on this conversation? You got it correct. It's Roxy. So Roxy's in the back listening. Oh, poor Blaze. She doesn't really care. So then she goes to Scrozzle, and Scrozzle has managed to create a technology-wise that repaired, the Robotron Maker. And Roxy's like, okay, so since that can rebuild it, do you have something that could it also make something that can take things apart? He says, yeah, it should. She's like, oh, I got a plan. She wants, what it is Roxy wants to make a Robotron that will take apart the Rangers' weapons. And I'm like, oh, Roxy is starting to become the brains of the operation so far. I'm loving, right now, I am definitely loving the dynamic between Scrozzle, Roxy, and Blaze. I'm loving this dynamic because it's completely different from what we got in the first half of the season. Like, it's just really interesting to see that, at one point, it was Blaze and Roxy against Scrozzle. But now it's Scrozzle against Roxy against Blaze. So it's really cool. I'm like, okay, I'm liking this dynamic. I am really enjoying this dynamic so far. Keep up the good work. Because, like I said, it's definitely interesting to see Roxy going against Blaze. Very cool to me. But we're going to keep it moving, you guys. Okay, so back at Grid Battle Force, Nate has completed the Giga Drone detectors. So now they have to go out and place them in the city. But the thing is, they can't have them too obvious for the public to notice. So then we see Roxy. Roxy makes a Robotron out of a wrench, and his name is Tooltron. So Tooltron is able to take things apart. So she then puts up one of those chips that Scrolls gave her last week on him, and then we see Ben and Betty. They are putting up their because it was Roxy and not Roxy. It was Ben and Betty. It was Zoe. It was Ravi. It was Devin, and it was Nate and Steele. So they were all in the city putting up the Giga Drone detectors. So like I said, Roxy wanted Tooltron to take apart Zoe's communicator, so that way she couldn't talk to the Rangers and she couldn't morph. But instead of Tooltron hitting the her communicator, he hit the Giga Drone detector. She's like, "Are you serious? Do you not have that good of? Are your aim that bad?" I'm like, "Oh, Roxy, come on, don't talk to him like that. He's probably afraid of you, and you probably intimidate him. You would intimidate me. Very much so would intimidate me." she would definitely intimidate me a lot, quite honestly. So yeah, don't be hard on Tultron. He's your creation, and he might be intimidated by his master. All right, you guys. So at Great Battle Force, they're all there with the exception of Ben, Betty, and Zoe. So they are putting together, they are turning on each and every one of the Gigadron detectors. Now, every one of them went online with the exception of the one that Ben and Betty put together. And, then, Nate has some cameras in the city so they can see it. And then they see that it's on the ground, dismantled, and they're like, oh, so Ben and Betty never put it together. So then Ben, Betty, and Zoe show back up, and they have ice cream. And they're like, you guys went out for ice cream, and you didn't even put your, your Gigadron detector together. They were like, but we did. And they're like, oh, so this is when Devin's like, oh, so you put it together. He says, okay. Well, riddle me this, Batman. So you guys said that earlier when I asked you about my my VR headset. Zoe, you said that you broke it, but my VR headset was smashed to pieces, and you were fine. But Ben and Betty, on the other hand, had had band-aids on their foreheads. So how did that happen? Like, explain that to me. Make it make sense. So then, Zoe was like, well, it wasn't me. It was Ben and Betty who, broke it. She says, I was doing that, to protect them and so that, they wouldn't get in trouble and you wouldn't get mad at them. So, and then when she said that, so they were like, okay, so you guys didn't actually put together the headset. And, they were like, yes, we actually did put that together. And, Dev was like, well, how can we believe you? She says, because we're friends. He's like, and then he questioned her friendship. Because, he said friends wouldn't lie to each other. But it was a white lie, Devin. And I think Devin was being a little bit of a hat. I'm not going to say the word. But I think Devin was being a little bit of a meanie with that when, like, you clearly knew that Ben and Betty were the ones who, destroyed your headset. And you saw what Zoe was doing. Zoe was protecting, your friends. And you took it out on her. So Zoe wasn't 100% wrong. She told a white lie. And the white lie didn't hurt anybody because, again, like I said, it was very visible, obvious that it was Ben and Betty who destroyed it. So, when Devin starts to question her friendship, she leaves and Jax follows in behind her. But then Jax also makes a point that, Devin might be right. And I didn't agree with Jax in that one. Like, no, I think maybe she shouldn't have lied. I don't know. I can see both sides. I can see her. I can see what she was doing. She was protecting Ben and Betty. But then I can also see how it affected Devin. But also, like I said, Devin knew. It was visibly obvious what happened. So, I don't know. I'm torn between that one. I can see both sides. Yes, she lied. But Devin knew she lied. It's not like okay, so Zoe has a knot on her head, but also Ben and Betty has a knot on their head. So who's telling the truth? You could clearly look at Zoe's makeup, her appearance, and see she didn't do anything. But you can take a look at Ben and Betty, who are visibly beat up. So I really don't know I'm on both sides. Technically, I'm on Zoe's side. I think Devin was wrong in this situation. Definitely can say that Devin was wrong. But we're going to move on, you guys. Okay. So next we see the others. So they go out to, fix the broken Gigadron detector. So once they're there, Roxy and Tultron show up. So the boys, it's Nate, it's Nate, Steele, and Robbie and Devin. So they are there, and like I said, Roxy and Tultron show up. They morph. So once they morph, they transport their blasters. No, they were never able to. Whatever weapons they had there, Tultron completely disassembles them. I'm like, wow. So with a sharp little blast, he just dismantles them. So then they get ready to transport some more weapons there. He dismantles those too. I'm like, ooh. I know it's a 30-minute episode, so it couldn't have been long. I mean, it would have been cool if it was like a 2-part episode where, they were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like, this monster has completely destroyed all of our weapons, and they figured it out I mean, it's cool that they figured it out in this whole episode, but it would have been a cool plot line if they had to, you know, be like, okay, oops, excuse me, y'all. It would have been cool if they said, okay, we don't have any weapons. How do we defeat this monster? Like, what are we gonna do? So after he just, you know, dismantles their weapons, she says, go after Zoe and, you know, take Zoe out. So then we do see that. You know, we see you know, Roxy and the Rangers, they battle with each other. So then, now here's the thing, you know, because last week's episode, Scrozzle was talking about how, you know, Blaze and Roxy don't know how to fight. It's not the fact that Blaze and Roxy don't know how to fight. It's the fact that once Blaze and Roxy are getting beat, they retreat. Like Roxy and Blaze need to learn how to not run from battle. That's their problem. They're not fighters. It's not that are not fighters. It's the fact that they retreat from battle. That's it. Because that's what happened in this episode. Now, mind you, the weapons were taken out, so they were fighting Roxy with their you know, their animal DNA powers, and she still retreated. I'm like, okay, if you say so. So then, you know, the others called to check on Zoe, but they didn't get nothing. So they, you know, they called Jax and asked Jax about her, and Jax said, you know, she just went out to get some air. So then we see her, and, you know, there's some Tronics and Tooltron surrounding her, and her Morpher has been destroyed. So then the others do show up to, you know, help her, and we see Cruz show up as well. So Cruz has shown up to give Zoe a new Morpher and the other Rangers, you know, new teleporters. I'm like, okay. I wish, again, I just wish a little bit more had been, a little more, we went a little bit deeper into this. Like, I'm guessing Nate made some backups of, you know, the Morphers and the Transporters. I'm guessing, I don't know. That was a little interesting to me, to be quite honest with you. That was what was interesting to me. Nate was not in Egg Battle Force. So who made this extra Morpher and these extra transporters? Just a question. Who did that? Like I said, it could be that Nate had a backup, but when they get the transporters, you know, Zoe morphs and they all call in the weapons and they defeat a Robotron. So then, you know, Scrozzle has to go and clean up the mess because, you know, like I said, Roxy just up and left. So, you know, he cleans up the mess, but he does take the chip that has the, you know, I think it has Zoe's Jackrabbit DNA. So then, you know, he makes a Gigadrone, and the Gigadrone detector detects it, but when it comes, it splits into two. I'm like, oh, cool. So Commander Shaw, she sends in the Zords. So, you know, with there being two monsters, we need two Zords to defeat the monsters. So this is where we got the introduction of Steel and Nate's Megazord. I think this is the first time we got the introduction of their Megazord. But they use their Megazord to defeat the Gigadrone in the end. You know, those Megazord fights are just really short. You know, it's just combine, slash, pop, done. But I'm okay with them. I enjoy them for the most part. I enjoy them a lot better than I did Super Ninja Steel. But we're going to move on, you guys. And then lastly, you guys, so we're at the Riptide Gym, and Devin apologizes to Zoe because Devin finally realizes he was wrong for his approach to Zoe. Zoe didn't do anything wrong. Zoe was just basically trying to protect two friends. And like I said before, it was very obvious that Zoe didn't destroy the headset, and it was Ben and Betty. So Ben and Betty do return, and they have fixed, you know, Devin's headset. And it tells Devin, you know, like, be careful, there's a gnarly shark in there. So, you know, he puts the headset on, and at first he trips, but he catches it. So he said, I fell off the board. So then you know, they were like, wait for it. And he turns around, and there's a shark. He's like, ah, shark. So he, you know, he falls back. You know, that whole Riptide Gym, it looks, if you look at the set just a little bit, it looks like the set of, oh, I think it is. I believe it is. I think it is, oh God, what is the name of the place where the Dino Charge Rangers worked at? What is the name of that museum? The grill that they worked at. What was the name of it? I can't think of it. I'm gonna remember it after I record this video and upload the video. But leave it in the comments if you guys know. I'm drawing a blank right now. But we also noticed, if you guys didn't notice, he tripped over a skateboard. If you guys go back and look at that skateboard is Chase's skateboard from Power Rangers Dino Charge. That was Chase's skateboard. I'm like, oh, a precursor to next year when we get our team up. Oh my God, speaking of the team up. So let's just go off on a little rant before I end this video, you guys. And bear with me. It's not going to be a long rant, but bear with me nonetheless. So I hope and pray that when it comes to the second season of Beast Morphers, I know that the US will get the first half first, but when it comes to the freaking international spoilers, I want for the international spoilers to be let's see what I want to say, less obvious. Like, can we not post them so much? Like, especially when it comes to that episode, I need for Hasbro, for whoever, Hasbro and Nickelodeon, I need you guys to collaborate together so that way when it comes to that episode, the RPM episode and the Dino team up, I need that episode to stay under wraps. Like, when it comes, like, do whatever you can to hold off on that episode. Like, I don't care what they do, hold off on that damn episode. Because hold off on the spoilers, because I'm over it right now. I have saw spoilers, but I haven't watched the videos. Like when I go on Twitter to get my Power Rangers news, Power Rangers Now, he always has the clips, the steals, and it's just like, are you serious? Like, I don't be wanting to see that. Thank God we're back here, and we're on. And next week we'll be on episode 12, so we're not that far away from being finished. Because I know that in Australia they've already aired the season finale of the first half, and here we are in the States, so we're not even halfway at that point. We're at episode 11 today, and next week is 12, and there are 20 episodes. The only thing that we'll have that's original for us is going to be these 2 filler episodes of the Halloween episode and the Christmas episode, and no one 100% really gives a frick about those episodes. But you guys, that's my little rant. That was my review for Power Rangers Beast Morphers. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification button. And also share this video with other Ranger fans out there and let them know about me. So until the next Ranger video, you guys, Ranger Nation, see you later.